gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Luminary Inventures. I'm your host Adriana Galvez, and today we have a truly captivating topic lined up for you: human dissection. Behold, my dear listeners, because we're about to embark on an incredible journey filled with super interesting discoveries and fascinating facts. So let's start. As I mentioned before, human dissection is something complex. That is why I have investigated some facts about it and also a part of its historical context. The part of the historical context we're going to talk about will be based on the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods. But I did not want to talk about this all alone. That is why I have invited my dear friend Brianna as a co-host for today's episode.
Hi, I am Brianna Peralez and I'm here to accompany Adriana in this podcast. I have been studying human dissection. I didn't knew it before, but it is one of the most interesting topics I have ever known. It just has a lot to learn about.
Why don't we start serving the knowledge and give our listeners the raw-weighted information?
I'm in. Let's give our listeners exciting facts.
Fantastic! Get ready, dear listeners, because we are now entering the world of human dissection. Let's begin. First, let's start by giving a quick peek to its historical context. Throughout centuries, human dissection has played an important role on understanding our body. A lot of our knowledge has come from hundreds of years ago, but we are going to be focusing on the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods. But what exactly is human dissection? Brianna, could you explain, please?
Okay. When it comes to understanding how our body works, dissecting human bodies is like our secret weapon. It is the only exact way to see and measure all those parts and structures that make our bodies. It's like a pass to see directly how everything functions.
That is really interesting, Brianna, isn't it?
It is.
Now, let's start telling some intriguing facts about human dissection. Did you know that in the 1500s, most of all the knowledge people had of the structures of our bodies came from a man named Galen?
How did he learn that?
Basically, in that time in ancient Rome where he lived, dissecting human bodies was totally prohibited. That is why Galen, to gain his knowledge, needed to dissect animals. The animals were, for example, pigs, monkeys, goats, and sheep. As they were animals and not humans, the information was obviously not exact.
Oh, now I understand. I didn't know how he earned that knowledge, but what I do know is that a lot of his states were denied.
How so?
Well, because of Andreas Vesalius.
Who is Andrea Bellius?
Andreas Vesalius, considered the father of modern anatomy. He was a physician and anatomist that published a very controversial book about anatomy, named The Human Corporis Fabrica. This book was about dissection, but this time it was made in the human body. But what I don't know is the language of the book.
Well, judging by the title and time of the book, I think it might be Latin.
Well, you are right. It probably is.
Okay, let's continue. That was very interesting. Also, did you know that during the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods, a lot of artists made dissections themselves?
Who, for example?
Leonardo da Vinci, for example, he really appreciated and focused on humanism. This is shown in his most famous artwork, the Mona Lisa. He had curiosity over how our bodies function and the way they are put together. So he studied human anatomy by dissecting bodies and examining them. Another thing he focused on was understanding our muscles and joints. This helped him create realistic and good-looking humans in his paintings.
Wow! I did imagine Da Vinci dissected bodies, but not for such a big purpose.
I know, they did so much to reach realism.
Yes, during the Renaissance, most people focused on humanism.
I know, right? Wait, we still haven't talked about human dissection in the Enlightenment period.
I know something about that. In the 18th century, medical interest reappeared. That is why, a private anatomical school opened, John and William Hunter School. It was the first one.
Why are you whispering?
I don't know.
Have you seen Betty la Fea?
Why are you mentioning Betty la Fea?
I don't know.
Well, what I do know is that I was explaining something. So, I will continue. William and John Hunter were the ones that showed a new form of learning. This method made students dissect bodies themselves.
Ugh, I can't even touch raw chicken. How am I supposed to touch it there? I think I'm kind of regretting entering medical school.
Don't worry, dissection had such a big impact in the world that is still upgrading today. Due to the high cost of the cadavers needed, new teaching techniques have appeared. Digital dissections are being developed. Guess you will have to need to find a new school that does.
Trust me, I will. Just one little tiny thing.
What? You interrupted me twice.
I know, but this is very important. Remember you told me that due to the high cost of cadavers, digital dissection is now being implemented?
Yeah? I just said that 15 seconds ago.
Well, in John and William's Hunter School, how did they get that much cadavers?
I was actually going to mention that, but you interrupted me. Anyways, I will tell you. Just 2 words. Grave robbers.
Grave robbers?
Yes, a lot of bodies were needed. Anatomy started obtaining bodies from grave robbers.
That is so awful. I'm glad it has changed.
How so?
Due to a lot of big scandals caused because children's organs were retained without any consent. Now, people need to write a consent to donate and also specify the purpose why they are donating.
Oh, I am happy that they changed that. I thought it had always been like that, giving our consent. But now I notice how things change through time. I'm happy it changed for the better now.
Talking about now, we should start mentioning that human dissection is still considered very important nowadays.
How? Can you explain?
Human dissection is still considered a very valuable source of anatomy knowledge, and also the only direct and a very important way of learning about it. The teaching method employed by John and William Hunter has helped many students that are interested in medicine to grow their knowledge and their understanding of human bodies. Even specialized doctors confirm this.
So that means that the effective medical and surgical practices are thanks to all the knowledge we can only obtain from our body through dissection?
Yes, for example, Betty in Betty la Fea.
What?
Betty could have done herself a plastic surgery to be prettier.
But she didn't?
I know, but she could, and if she did and we didn't have this knowledge of our body, she probably would have died.
I don't get it.
You don't need to. Oh, look at the time. Well, dear listeners, our episode has come to an end. I hope you had learn something new, and don't forget to keep learning.